Hi guys, welcome to another live video. I'm Berlyn and I'm very excited to have you guys here tonight. If this is your first time watching one of these live videos, we make live videos every week about the Bible. We study the Bible, we read the Bible from the beginning all the way to the end. So from Genesis all the way to Revelation. So we go in order, obviously. We're not gonna read like in one live chapter 1 of Genesis and then the next live chapter 1 of Matthew. That's never gonna happen because we read it in consecutive order. So right now we are in today's live. We're gonna be talking, as you guys already saw in the title, we're gonna be talking about Lot and his two daughters. We're gonna be talking how these two daughters abused him, basically. So yeah, it's a very interesting story in the Bible, and yeah, it's kind of like creepy in some point. But when I was reading this story, I noticed that they basically abused him. And I don't think, or maybe I've never heard no one talking about this. I mean, obviously they've been talking about the story, but probably I haven't heard myself. Obviously, probably there's someone who said it, but I haven't heard anyone's actually like talking about how these two daughters abused him, right? They only talk about like the concept of it and everything, but not that. They basically abused him. So we're gonna be talking more about this as we keep reading. So let's get started. I recommend you watching the other live video, the past ones, because we go in consecutive order. If you've never read the Bible before, you're not gonna understand who Lot is and all of this. But basically, Lot is the nephew of Abraham, so that's why I recommend you guys to read the Bible or to watch the past lives, because we read them in consecutive order. So basically, right now I'm gonna give you like a little summary. Lot is Abraham's nephew. And they just came from the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, if you guys can see in the live video that we did last week. We talked about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot lived there with his wife and his two daughters. So because he was Abraham's nephew, we see this scene where Abraham is trying to convince God not to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, not to destroy the cities, because his nephew was living there. So God knew that he wanted his nephew alive. That's why he sent two angels to destroy the city. But before destroying the city, God told those angels to save Lot and his family from the destruction. So the angels told Lot to grab his daughters and his wife and any other members of the family that he had in the city. So we can and I talked about this in the last live, but I'm giving you guys a little summary. But we can see that in the Bible it says that Lot went and talked to his two sons-in-law. So they weren't married yet, but they were gonna marry his daughters. So when he told his two sons-in-laws that the cities were gonna get destroyed and that they had to like come with them to run away, the two sons-in-law, that's how you say, yeah, the two sons-in-law, they didn't believe him. He thought he was just joking, so they didn't go with him. So at the end, it was just Lot, his wife, and his two daughters who fled from the destruction. So the two angels gave them specific instructions on what not to do. So one of those instructions was to not look back. So when they were running away from the city, they were in the outside of the city. They were already like let's say miles away from the city. The city was being God was destroying the city. You know, burning sulfur was coming down from the sky into the city. So the angels told them not to look back. And one mistake that the wife of Lot did, that Lot's wife did, was that she looked back. So when she looked back, she became a pillar of salt. So she died. She became a pillar of salt, which is something very interesting that I mentioned in the last live, because we can see that Sodom and Gomorrah, it's known that it was around the Dead Sea area in Israel. So in the Dead Sea, as you know, that you can, if you go to the Dead Sea, you can float automatically because it's filled with salt. It has like 30% salt. So in the if you go down, if you like dive into the Dead Sea, you can see how there's no sand like in the ocean. It's just like, it looks like ice because of all this salt that's inside. So the salt of the Dead Sea contains sulfur. So it's very interesting because the wife of Lot became a pillar of salt when she looked back and she like stayed there. And then it was burning sulfur coming down from the sky to Sodom and Gomorrah and destroy them. And when sulfur and then fire like get mixed together, it contains like, it at the end it creates this like type of salt, right? So it's very interesting that probably all this burning sulfur that was coming down from the sky, at the end with the years and the years, it all converted into salt. That's why the Dead Sea, it's like filled with salt. And I think it also has a connection with Lot's wife becoming a pillar of salt. So it's very interesting. So yeah, so after this, obviously Lot ran away with only his 2 daughters. So he didn't have a wife anymore, and there was no like sons-in-laws, new husbands for his 2 daughters. So let's read chapter 19 verse 30. So we're in this live, we're gonna finish chapter 19. I divided chapter 19 in 3 different lives. So it was one of like in the middle of the chapter, it talks about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Or actually, in the whole chapter, it talks about the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. But from the verse 30 all the way to the last verse, which is verse 38, it talks about Lot and his daughters after the destruction. So let's talk about this. So verse 30, it says, Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar. So they fled to this little town, this little village called Zoar. So it said that Lot and his 2 daughters left the little town, Zoar, and settled in the mountains. So they settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. So they fled to the mountains. To, the mountains, they're alone. So it was only them 3. It says he and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. So it was very interesting because they were living in a cave like years and years and years ago, right? Like before that incident. So it says, one day the older daughter said to the younger, our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as it is the custom all over the earth. Let's get our father to drink wine and then sleep with him, and persevere our family line through our father. So they wanted to preserve their family line through their father. So they were going to commit incest, right? Which is something very bad. And it said that they wanted to get their father to drink wine and then sleep with them. So they were basically going to get him drunk to sleep with him. So let's keep reading. It says, that night they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went and slept with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So he was so drunk that he didn't even notice that he slept with his daughter. So he didn't even notice that when she like laid down with him and when she got up. He never noticed. So it says, the next day the older daughter said to the youngest, last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go and sleep with him, so we can preserve our family line through our father. So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So they got their father drunk again that night, the next night. And then now the youngest daughter slept with him. And obviously Lot was so drunk that he wasn't aware that his younger daughter lay down with him and then when she got up. So he was not aware of this. It says that, so it's very interesting because nobody, like I said, everyone talks about this story and oh yeah, Lot and his daughters, they became pregnant, whatever. So, but I've never heard anybody said that, oh, they basically sexually abused him. Because we see this happening a lot when people go to, parties, when girls, with teenage girls or even like adult girls go to parties, there's a lot of danger out there. There's a lot of mean people, bad people, who basically put something in their beverage so they get, you know, they drugged them, or they get them drunk and then they sexually abuse them, you know. So because obviously when you get drunk or when you try drugs, you're not aware. Your five senses are not working correctly. So that's when they get abused. And this is even like a crime. Obviously it's a crime. There's a lot of stories of girls being abused because they were very drunk or they were high in some aspects. So it's very interesting that I've never heard anyone saying, okay, Lot's daughter got their father drunk, very drunk, so they can abuse him. Just like you see, oh yeah, this guy got his friend drunk so he can abuse her. So, and then, oh yeah, this stranger got this girl drunk so that he can abuse her. So we see all these stories, but this story happened in the opposite way, right? And it's not just, oh yeah, this girl got this guy drunk so she can abuse him. So it's very weird to see like a story like that, to like hear of that story. It's mostly guys, like men, who get girls drunk so that they can abuse them. It's never like the opposite way. Obviously there's stories and cases where that happens, but it's like rare, you know. So in this case that happened. It was a woman, like two women, who got a man drunk so that they both can abuse the man. So it's weird. And not even like being weird, like on the side of that, it was very like bad, because it wasn't any man. It wasn't like, oh yeah, they got their friend drunk, or their a stranger, they got their own father drunk. Like even if you hear like, oh yeah, they got their cousin drunk so that they can rape her or him, obviously it's like, oh okay, that's very bad, your cousin in the first place. So like talking about your father, it's just creepy to me. It's creepy. So yeah, so it's very interesting. This is a very interesting story. Not only that they commit incest with their father, but basically his they didn't get the approval of their father, you know, to do that. So he was abused. Everyone talks about, oh yeah, incest, and them living in a cave, but nobody talks about, okay, Lot was abused, you know, like get him some mental help or something. Obviously not, but like in those times. But yeah, it's like, wow, he was abused. So so it says, so both of Lot's daughter became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son, and she named him Moab. And he is the father of the Moabitas. Moabitas, I don't know how you pronounce them in English, but Moabites? Moabitas. It's in Spanish. And the younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Amim. And he is the father of the Ammonites of today. So it's very interesting, because if you see the map, the old map of Israel, you see all the 12 tribes of Israel in the land of Canaan. And then like on the other side of the Jordan River, where Jordania is right now, you see that in the south part, it's Edom, which is Israel's brother, who is Esau. That's where his descendants live. And then more towards the south, you see the little like cities of Moab and Ammon, which are the basically the descendants of Lot, you know, Lot and his daughters. So it's very interesting, because in the Bible we see a lot of they mention a lot the Moabites, the Moabitas. They're very known for making like sacrifices, making children's sacrifices to Moloch. Moloch, it was like a demon or a false god that they worshipped. And they would like have this whole like big statue with a burning like they had like a burning thingy inside, like fire, and they would throw the children inside of this big statue like Moloch, you know. So so yeah, the Moabites are basically the Israelites' cousins, you know, or like second cousins, because their cousins are the Edomitas, which means who are Esau's descendants. So basically they're their cousins, and then their second cousins are the Moabitas. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting if you didn't know this. It's something to learn about, because when you read more about it, about, oh yeah, like the conflict that's happening right now between Israel and Palestine, and in the Middle East with the Arabs and Israel, and you read the Bible, you're like, okay, it's all a family issue, a family fight, because they're all family basically. Some of them, obviously, they come from Israel, and then some of them come from Lot. Some of them come from Esau, who is Israel's brother. And then some of them come from Ishmael, who is Israel's uncle, like Isaac's brother. So it's very interesting, very interesting. So yeah, that's all for this video, guys. I hope you guys like this video. If you like it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with more people so that they can learn more about the Word of God. And I'll see you in the next live. Bye.